just I've wanted to talk to you for a while, Jaret. Just because the band's been such an important part of so many people's lives, and yeah, you just announced the Wembley show, which is amazing, and I know you've done a bunch of interviews about how important that is to you. Does it feel like validating to you, because all the blood and sweat and tears you've put in, all of the challenges you've faced individually and of course as a band, does it? I'm not going to say like as a fan, I can be like, well, you deserve it. You absolutely deserve Wembley, absolutely
Yeah.
110%. But for you,
Yeah.
does it feel like you kind of deserve a headline slot when you've been there before, but you're going back? This is different. So how
Yeah.
did it feel validating for you?
It's definitely validating. It's one of those things. I mean, it's surprising to an extent because, we've been doing this for 30, almost 31 years. And the fact that we're more popular now in all areas of the world and, in streaming and with shows and touring and is crazy. But it's such an interesting question for you to ask because I do a lot of therapy because I have some mental health stuff I talk about that openly, and I have some anxiety and depression issues and stuff. But I when I'm working on other things, I start to work on just myself and just being the best human that I can be, and and having a good. Anyway, this is going somewhere, I promise.
No, no, take
Uh,
time.
the part of the phase of life that I'm in is sort of like starting to, to be able to be proud of myself, to be able to be proud of these things that I've worked for. And, it's okay to feel like, I don't know if deserve is the right word, but it's okay to feel like, you know what, we've earned this, and so there is a little part of me that sort of feels like, man, you know what, we have earned this. This is amazing. And then there's that part of me that's still a little kid watching Motley Crue videos and just thinking, man, wouldn't that be cool to be able to do that? And, and then hearing the Descendants, the other kid that, the young adult that heard the Descendants for the first time. And it was just like, wouldn't it be cool to write love songs, but they were fast with loud guitars. And, so there's a lot, that this one, getting this show and, and recent, and downloads and things like that. Like when you get these little milestones like this, it all sort of just comes flooding in, and you're just like, my goodness, what a what an amazing thing all around, just what an amazing accomplishment, what an amazing opportunity, what an amazing trophy that's going to be on the wall. I mean, they're just,
Yeah.
again, there's a lot of aspects to it, but most of all, I'm just super, super thankful and excited. I really am. It's one of those things where, you know, I still get excited about every show, but there's only a certain amount of excitement that you can get because it is my job, and I do go out there every night and do this.
Yeah.
So, when things like this, or actually just backing up to this last tour, I mean, walking out on stage in Nottingham to our second biggest crowd ever, but the first time we played in an arena, like a hot arena setting where it was our fans, our show, we've played those a lot where in festivals or radio shows and things like that. But this was our thing. Everybody was there to see Bowling for Soup, you know, and I'm still taken aback by it. It was
Yeah.
just just crazy to see. So yeah, it's a, there's a has a long answer, but this is a real big deal. you know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm so pleased for you, and I can see the enthusiasm. One of the things that I also wanted to touch on, and one of the things I love about the band is that when you come to the UK, you'll play Hull and you're playing Stockton on this current run, Blackpool, these areas that traditionally in the UK circuit kind of get missed out on. And you'll
Yeah.
play these shows to people, which is lovely. And I know there's an incentive. You're doing, you're raising some money for the Live Trust. But how important is it for a band that can do Wembley and can do
Mhm.
arenas,
Yeah.
that's been going for so long, to do these shows for cities that are, be honest, don't always get bands at your level.
It's a big deal to us because, we've been the workhorses uh of this, I don't know, genre, or just, we were considered the busiest band in the world for a long time, and bands would come over with us. And I remember Simple Plan coming over with us, and an American Hi-Fi coming over with us, and Forever the Sake of Skids and but on those tours, back even as close as like 10 years ago, we'd come over for 21, 25, 28 days, and we wouldn't take a day off.
Mm.
And I would explain it away as being like, hey, look, first of all, days off are expensive. I still have to pay for the bus and pay the crew. We have to pay for hotels, food. But also, if I'm gone from my kids, I'm going to work. So if I take a day off and it's going to cost me another day with my kids, then we're just not taking a day off. So we were crazy, is basically what I'm saying. Other bands would see that schedule and just be like, holy crap, I can't believe we signed on for this. And now that I'm a bit older, and we are a bit older, and I feel a little bit more mortal. I get the importance of those days off. Not just for the mental or the physical tiredness of it, but just for your body,
Mm.
to recover or whatever. Because it's just you want to be able to be 100% up there. Getting at though is that we could cover a lot of ground in those days. If you're over there for 3.5, 4 weeks, you could cover a really, really big section of the
Mm.
United Kingdom,
Mm.
and a few shows in Europe too. So we have relationships with those cities. We
Mm.
have relationships with Plymouth, and we have relationships with Portsmouth, and we have relationships with Bristol, and we have, again, all of these towns, Stoke-on-Trent,
Yeah.
we played Bath,
Yeah.
like, what I mean? Like there's relationships with all these cities that our band has, and there's people there that want to see the band, that are expecting to see the band, and so that goes into every. There was a time where our agent, or it was our old agent and management, were like, you could get to a point where you could just go over there and do Birmingham, Manchester, London,
Mm.
maybe a Scottish show,
Mm.
and then that's it. You just come home, and I'm just like, I mean, that seems crazy. Like, why
Mm.
fly all the way over there for 4 shows? Like, I mean, if we're gonna go over there, let's go see some people. And so, it's just one of those things where I I like our relationship with the people of the
Mm.
United Kingdom. I like our relationship with the people in those smaller cities, and I know I appreciate when when a band comes close to me, and so I do the absolute best I can to try every couple of years to cover as much of the geography as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's really important, and you're you're always playing these shows as well, and I just think that's fantastic, and a testament to the work ethic. I think I wanted to touch on the legacy of the band really, and I know it's quite a deep question for me. You're the type of band that inspires people to rethink about the confines of what growing up looks like. Yes, you can have a job. Yes, you can work hard, but you can also be yourself. You can have fun. I've been to so many Bowling for Soup shows where there's kids bouncing around with so much joy. I remember, and then I've seen like adults, 30s, 40s, people with disabilities like myself, like just really letting loose and being themselves. And I don't want to put words in your mouth as the person that's doing it, but what do you feel about the Bowling for Soup legacy? Do you think much about that? And what would you like it to be, Jaret?
It's the positivity of it, really, to me. It's the fact that that you've heard the thing, anybody can do anything. You work hard, you stay true to it or whatever you can, but it really is true. I mean, to an extent. Again, I, my thing is that I want to be that band, and I've said this now. You could probably look this up in publications from 20 years ago. I probably said this in all of them, but I want to be that band. I've always wanted to be that band that you can turn on after a bad day, and we can make it better.
Mm,
And that's and to me that's enough.
mm,
I'm perfectly fine with that. I feel like entertaining people is a big deal for me, but I really honestly do believe, and I say this to my family, I say it to my band, I say it to my fans, my friends. I really believe in whatever aspect it is, whether it's Bowling for Soup or just, being around people. I was put on this earth to make people smile.
mm,
I really, really believe that
mm,
because of the things that and how how hard it's been, in some times in my life to be able to kind of keep this smile on my face and to keep chugging away and keep plugging away. Just the fact that I was given the ability to be able to push through all those things and still do it, that there has to be it has to be the reason that I'm here.
Yeah, man.
I just, and so, and so I do think about that. I think about it a lot, and so, the positivity and all of that is a real big deal to me.
Yeah.
That's what I want to put in the world, and that's what I want people to take away from the things that I put into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've kind of just answered my next question, but I obviously asked about the band's legacy, which takes into account you and the other members of the band, of course, who have worked so hard with you. And I think that that's, it takes into account Chris, which I'll talk about in a second,
Sure.
and again, the other members. But for you, like, this is a slightly different slant on it. What about your legacy? Because I remember watching you, I actually got to see you guys at the Showbox in Seattle, and it was a beautiful show, and everyone was having so much fun. And then I know that you do this a lot, but you talk about your mental health struggles, you're open about them. And I just remember, like, because you're such a figure of positivity, but being able to open up in such a public forum to lots and lots of people, that was
Yeah.
I felt empowered by it, man. Like, I was like, holy shit, this is, because you're so associated with fun, with people's
Yeah.
youths, with making people smile, but then being
Yeah.
open enough to do that. I thought that took real strength. So I know it's the same question, kind
Yeah.
of,
No,
but like,
no, I get it.
what about your legacy as an artist and I guess as a person as well?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, well, mental health to me, that's the thing is I guess it's an ever evolving thing because
Mm,
mental health really wasn't even on my radar. I mean,
mm,
I have to be honest, until I experienced it, I had no idea what depression was. I thought depression just meant sad. I mean, I'm not ever sad, but I get depressed all the time. Um, they're not the same thing. They're not synonymous at all. Um, Now you can be depressed and sad, but just because you're depressed doesn't mean you're sad. You know what I mean? And just because you're sad doesn't mean you're depressed. So it's one of those things. But so I experienced all of that so late in life, into my 40s. And, so I was, this is a little long winded, but I was a little worried about starting to talk about it
mm,
because I am the happy guy, because I'm the fart joke guy, because I am the dude that like is up there acting like nothing else matters in the world except for right now, and we're all gonna smile, we're in this together, and all of that. But at the same time, once I start to have all of these experiences and these feelings, and then what little I did talk about it, just the impact and just the lights that would go on in people's minds and eyes and stuff. I quickly realized that like I sort of have a responsibility that it needs to be out there, that just because I'm probably the happiest person you're ever going to meet, and I do stand by that, uh, you know, it can get you, and it got me, and it gets
mm,
me. I
mm,
literally just picked up my medication. I'm in
mm,
my van right now. Just picked up my medication that if I don't take it for a few days, like
mm,
I don't really know if I'll be able to function
mm,
um, at the level that I, need to be able to do what I do for a living. So,
mm,
yeah, I hope that mental health is part of my legacy. I hope that I'm known as a nice guy. I hope that I go down as being that someone remembers in a positive way, and I hope that I'm remembered as a good father,
mm,
and a good friend,
mm.
and I'm working hard to make sure that those things are the thing. But I think one of the coolest things that one of my therapists told me one day, he was like, you have immortality, and I'm just like, what? He goes, you're literally going to live forever, and I'm like, I don't understand. It's like
Mm.
your music is there. It's there forever. And he goes, you have one of those songs in 1985, and in some countries, 3 or 4 songs
Yes.
that people 20 years after I'm gone will still be listening to. It'll be like a Beatles song or whatever. I'm not comparing myself to the Beatles at all. I'm just saying it'll be, those songs, You're All the Bad Guys Want, will still be getting played long after I'm gone. And that's pretty cool to be able to think about. So, yeah, obviously, I hope that music is part of my legacy as well.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, you've got generations of stuff there. You've got those songs, you've got Phineas and Ferb, you've got your TV
Yeah.
work. It's amazing, man. Again, like, I hope you do take a moment just to be like, That's that. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's an amazing thing to be able to gift the world, and I applaud you all for it. And I wanted to touch on. I've got a couple more questions. Obviously, Chris coming out of the band, you have the blessing to do these shows, and you talk about the
Mhm.
legacy of the band as well. I think you described him in an interview as your security blanket. You know,
Yeah,
Still
yeah,
such an important part of you've talked about what he means to you from a band perspective, but what does Chris mean to you as a person? Like, obviously, still with the band in spirit in so many times. I notice he's still in the press shots and still all over the Bowling for Soup brand, as it were, even though that could be quite a dirty word to use. But like, he's still synonymous with you guys. So, what does
yeah.
going into these shows, going into Wembley, another career defining moment? What does Chris mean to you, and what does that I guess it ties into the legacy question as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's important to, I always point out that, we wouldn't be, there would have been no Bowling for Soup without him. I mean, this might have been my brainchild, and sort of like, even as we evolved, sort of like, but at every step of the way, he was there making everything better, he just, and so he is just, he's such a huge part of this. He's such a, again, I think you probably read that I said this too, because for a while, you know, I really wasn't even the face of the band. He was,
Mm,
because he was such a striking person.
mm,
And, not a lot of people, let's face facts. Not a lot of people had a big dude in their band. Now everybody's got a big dude in their band, but, and I'm not saying that's our influence, but I'm also saying it's not our influence.
mm, mm,
But anyway, no, I'm kidding on that. But like, it's, and then he shaved his head, and he had piercings in his face, and he's all tattooed, and he's just such a striking image,
mm,
as a person. And so, a lot of times it's like, he's like in the photo shoot in front and stuff like that. And none of that ever bothered me. It was never even really anything that I thought about until after it wasn't like that anymore,
mm, mm,
until it was like, oh man, they're putting me in the front now. And now it's like, oh, this is strange. Uh, you know, he's he's such a part of the legacy that I feel like no matter what we do, when people go back to talk about us in years and years, it'll be as you said, the photos with him in them.
mm,
Like, I feel
mm,
like, yes, we have new photos now with just the three of us, because you have to give people an expectation of what it is
mm,
that they're going to see when they come to the show. And so, and that's just the way that it is, right?
mm,
But I think that when people picture Bowling for Soup, Chris is there,
mm.
and that's I think his biggest part of the legacy is that, just, without him there would be no Bowling for Soup.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Such an enduring, again, legacy, to keep using that word. An
Yeah,
important part of the band. Great to see, obviously, in good spirits as well in recent posts.
yeah.
Two more questions before I let you go, Jaret. One of I don't always ask this, but I think it's important given the amount of like reflection that you've done and some of the stuff you talked to me about today. Going into Wembley, going into the, so many years, decades now of Bowling for Soup. What if you were to look back, having done the therapy you've done, having done the work, and you were sat like I'm sat with you now, opposite yourself, knowing what you know now, what would you have told your younger self, the person that started Bowling for Soup in the early 90s and was able to keep it going?
I would say stay the course. It's worth it.
Mm,
I wouldn't change one thing. People are like, is there something you wouldn't have done? Is there a decision you wouldn't have make? Is there a mistake that you would fix for yourself?
mm,
And when you think back to it, it's like, the movie Back to the Future is simplistically puts this into our heads, but it is true. It's like at any moment, every little Y in the road, you're picking a path, and each time you make that, everything is going to be different no matter what you get, and you do it 1,000 times a day. You know
mm,
what I mean?
mm,
Whether or not you respond to a text a certain way, or you take a breath and respond to the text, there's just so many things like that. And I love my band and where we are right now. I love my family and my wife and my children and my dogs and my neighborhood and I just am, I'm in such a, I just love life, and more than I ever have right now. And not that I ever didn't, Even when I was depressed, I still loved life. I
Mm.
mean, and that's the thing, right? Like, not everybody that is depressed doesn't want to be on the planet. You
Mm.
know, that wasn't my experience. But it's like, but I've never been this happy, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm getting my physical health is getting better, and that's something that I'm working on because now I've got my mental health
Mm.
together. You know, a lot of people gave me a lot of shit for getting fat, and I really didn't have a defense for it because it's like, yes, I mean, I did. I don't really know what to tell you. I fucking got fat, you know, but now I can say I did, but I'm doing something about it now because I got my head straight. Now I feel like I could get my body straight. And, you know, if people understand that, then they do. If they don't, then they don't. But, you know, I think there was a turn where I probably could have stayed skinny. I could have told myself to stay skinny. Hey, you'll be happier mentally, but would I? I don't know. So I think I would tell myself to stay the course.
Yeah, man, I love that as well, and it's interesting, like because I've taken something from this today, where you're talking about the depression and sadness. They're not the same thing, and you know there's a different perspective there, and that's kind of it's really interesting to look at that because
Yeah.
you know people put them together, and clearly
Yeah.
you've been depressed and you've been sad, but it doesn't mean
Yeah.
you don't want to be here, and it doesn't mean you don't love what you
Yeah.
do, and clearly that love is there, and I'm so happy for you, man, that you just yeah, I'm happy that you're happy with
Thank
everything
you,
because
man.
that's great. Not everybody gets that, so that's wonderful. Last question is the promo question. Basically, I know you've got some shows with your country project coming out this year. Is there anything that you want to plug and promote before we finish up today? Anything that I might have missed?
Man, I would love if everybody just followed me on social media. I'm Jaret Reddick on TikTok. And then everywhere else, I'm Jaret2113. I'm on Facebook and Threads and X and Instagram and all that stuff. Or you can go to JaretRayReddick.com. But bowlingforsoup.com as well. We have so much happening in Bowling for Soup that it's impossible for me to list it. But it's almost a thing where we start to chart it all out with videos and new songs and all of these things, and then shows and then we actually giggle because it is so much. But all I got to say is we're enjoying every minute of it, and we would love it if y'all kept up. So yeah, bowlingforsoup.com, Jaret Reddick, JaretRayReddick.com, and I got more country stuff coming too. So if you're a fan of that, you know, give me a shot.
Fantastic, fantastic. And any message for fans that are going to be buying tickets to this current tour in Blackpool, wherever that may be, wherever they're coming, and also Wembley,
Yeah,
of course. Yeah,
yeah. To my fans and to old and new, thank you. Thanks for sticking with us. I promise that as long as you're coming, we will keep rolling, and we are just absolutely. I mean, if you saw the last tour, you can see we are firing on all cylinders. A lot of people are saying that it's the best we've ever been, and I can't argue that. I mean, you know, there's just a really really good energy happening right now, and you know, a lot of times, you know, when you know, I think you just sort of get to a point where then you finally got your life going in the way that it's going to go, and it allows you to get all of your professional stuff going too. So we're just stoked.
good. I'm stoked for you as well. Obviously, a new live album from Stoke as well. So yeah, we
Stoked on
got
Trent.
Stoked on Trent as well. We got to get that in there. Jaret, thank you so much for making the time. I hope we get to do this again. It's been a long time coming. Thank you so much for parking up on the side of the road for me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, brother. Take care, man.